Doctor, it's 1170s, and we're going to employ medical and surgical techniques that were known during the time of the Crusades. The time of the Crusades is a time of great change in medicine. We're going to use a combination of medical techniques we learned from our ancestors back in England, France, Scandinavia. But we also learned some new things here in the Holy Land, and we're going to employ some of the new things we learned here in taking care of our wounds, all right? Now, officially, the Pope has prohibited monks, and we're an order of fighting monks, has prohibited monks from either practicing surgery or medicine. However, our particular order, the Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, the hospital order, has as its mission, has had as its mission, caring for the sick in compliance with Christ's command to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, and heal the sick.
That was our first mission, actually.
And we've been doing it since about 1050 before the Crusades. So the way we handle this conflict is that there are physicians and surgeons operating in our hospitals, and we are tasked and permitted to assist them. So today, we the brothers are going to apply some of the techniques that physicians and surgeons have taught us. In case there's a battle, we have to do it. So here we go. Our soldiers come in. He's been wounded with a crossbow bolt. Now we have to use our imaginations a little bit because the chicken's sort of skinny. Imagine this is the leg of a soldier, all right? Now you could say, well, why don't we just simply remove the crossbow bolt? We will, and when we do, it comes right out because crossbows and arrows are secured only by a drop of wax. In other words, when you pull the shaft, the arrowhead remains. So we have to have a technique for removing this arrowhead. Now imagine this is deeply embedded into the thigh. It's buried completely. All right. To begin, we have to care for both the spiritual well-being as well as the pain sensations of the wounded soldier. So, we will say a Pater Noster, the Our Father prayer and pray. This reminds the soul when he says, lead us not into temptation, deliver us evil. Don't be delivered in the temptation for believing that the wound is stronger than you are because your faith is stronger than the wound. It also reminds the brothers that we don't heal, God's curative powers do. We're just sort of getting rid of this foreign body and this tissue. It prepares him and us mentally for what we're about to do. Now, I'm also going to apply a salve I've learned to use from the Muslim physicians. This is a mixture of animal fat, olive oil, and the bulb from the poppy flower. Unknown to European medicine before the Crusades, it has an amazing ability to fight pain. So I'm going to put a little dab of it around the wound and allow this to soak in. For how long? I would recommend 3 more Pater Nosters, about 3 minutes, to allow the opium sap to ooze into the wound. In addition, I'm going to provide what later medical science might call an anesthetic. Now, before we arrived in the Holy Land, coming from Europe, we were familiar with the use of a deadly poison which can be beneficial in moderate quantities, and that is hemlock. Remember, Socrates was assassinated by drinking a cupful of hemlock, or a bowl full of hemlock, but hemlock in small doses has the ability to slightly relieve pain. Hemlock. In addition, though, we learned from the Arab physicians the use of the opium plant. Now, we're not sure if it's the leaves or the bulb to do it, so to take no chances, I'll use both. Now, hemlock has a horrible smell when brewed as a tea. It smells like mice. So I'm going to add 2 petals, maybe 3, one for each member of the Trinity, to the mix. Now this is important because the wounded soldier's been bleeding. This has resulted in an imbalance of his 4 bodily humors. The ancient Roman physician Galen taught that health is made of a perfect balance of the 4 fluids in the body, which are blood, yellow bile, black bile, and phlegm. So if you're bleeding, you're clearly short of the red component. So I'll add some red component to my elixir, which will also sweeten the flavor a little bit of that mouse-smelling hemlock. And finally, I'll add a little bit of honey just for flavoring. Now, in order to brew a tea, you have to have heat. And here's another miracle to us from the Holy Land. This is called quicklime. Quicklime is prepared by heating crushed up seashells to a high degree of heat. And when you do that, it produces a fine white powder which has the unbelievable property of being exothermic. That is, when you add a drop of water to the quicklime, which I'm not going to do because I have to save my quicklime, it produces heat. My cup is metal, I'll add a drop of water, put it over the quicklime, and that will produce enough heat to warm the water. But how long do you let it warm for? Well, the best thing I'd recommend is 3 more paternosters. It's a way to measure time since recited prayers tend to be of the same duration each time. So we'll go through 3 paternosters while waiting for the brew to steam. And this way, we won't get too much of this sap because they're both, of course, deadly poisons. All right, our 3 paternosters are done. I'll take out the ingredients, drink up. 3 more paternosters while waiting for the drugs to take effect, and we're ready to begin our surgery. Now, the arrow, of course, is embedded deeply in his flesh. I'm not exactly sure where it is. So I'll use a probe to determine where the head of the arrow lies. And since that hurts like crazy, another day I'm about to do it. All right. The arrow seems to be lining up according to this axis. So that's where we're going to now broaden the incision. Now we have a special tool for removing arrows. But you see, the tool is a whole lot broader than the arrow. So I have to widen the slit in order to be able to get the tool inside. All right. Hold the patient. Hold the patient. He's going to squawk. Well, just hold it with your hands right now. Ready? All right, guess what? He needs more of this.
Can I have a dab of that too?
Well, as much opium pop as he can stand without passing out. Now remember, he drank a tea too, so he's got that going for him. All right, here we go. Time for extraction. Can you use this, brother? So you pull the extractor open. All right, here it comes. All right, leave it open. All right, now, there's an additional herb we've learned about here in the Holy Land called myrrh. Right, remember gold, frankincense, and myrrh? Myrrh also has the ability to prevent infections. Now, we don't understand infections. We only know that wounds that have given a little bit of myrrh seem not to develop excessive amounts of yellow bile. Okay. All right, we close it. And now it's time to suture him shut. You hold the patient. This is gonna hurt. Nothing before hurt, of course, but this might hurt. All right.
It's surprising, man.
Now, when we suture, notice we go back through the loop we just sewed. What this does is also reduce the amount of stretch on each stitch to lessen the chance that the stitch will pull out. Understand, we're neither surgeons nor doctors. The surgeons and doctors have told us how to do these things, and so we're practicing here today. Because the time will come, it will be our job to take care of battlefield injuries by ourselves. Although officially, it's the surgeons and the doctors who are doing it, and we're merely helping them. All right. And do a couple extra times to hold this stitch closed while I finish. That's right. For a knife is good. All right. Make the cut, right? All right. Nicely done, thank you. Now, another miracle of medieval medicine, forgotten today, widely used in the medieval era, is honey. Honey has the ability to keep wounds moist, keep foreign bodies from getting in, and also has the ability to provide a coating for wounds, which, when bandages are applied and removed, won't tear the wound open again. For those who've had maybe some paramedic training, you know that when you put a bandage on a wound, you can't remove it, you have to add another bandage on top of it because you can tear it off and it'll reopen the wound. But if you put honey on top of it, that won't happen. All right, we're ready to bandage. So go ahead and lift the patient up. Hold it now, he's jumping around. Stop it. All right. There's our patient. So you see, we use a combination of, well, frankly, just plain magic, but applied with a consistent philosophical principle following ancient Roman teachings. New medicines such as myrrh, opium, and honey we've learned here in the Holy Land, and older techniques we know from back home, such as suturing and the use of hemlock. Of the various things you've seen used here today, opium will turn out to be by far the most important and most enduring medical advancement brought to Europe from the Holy Land, because it's still used today, of course, in various forms. And that concludes our demonstration. Thank you.
Thank you.